Ooh, this is the fight guy. I'm Guy. In UFC Paris, Nasruddin Imavov is taking on Borralho in what should be an outstanding main event. Really a great main event, very important for the middleweight division, as the winner of this fight most likely will get the next title shot. 90% certain the winner of this fight will get the next title shot. The number one contender is now the former champion, Dricus du Plessis. They're not going to give him an immediate rematch after getting absolutely bum-fucked with the same move from Khamzat Chimaev. So frustrated with that. But nonetheless, the only other, potential fight that could get the next title shot would be Anthony Hernandez and RDR. But I'm fairly certain the winner of this fight here will fight Khamzat Chimaev probably in February of 2026. I don't think Khamzat will fight again this year. I'd love to be wrong about that. We'll see. I'm going to break down the entire card. But first, if you're new to the channel, all right, if you've been watching, you understand that we've been cooking lately, but in the last 3 cards, I've missed a total of 6 fights I've gotten wrong. I've gotten like 30 fights correct and like 6 wrong. So I've been doing pretty good as of late, and I'm feeling very confident about this card. We will end with a beautiful main event here, but we'll start with the very first fight on the prelims. A women's fight. I believe the only women's fight on the entire card. And it is. Getting it out of the way early. No bathroom break fight in the middle of the card. We're going to get it started. For Americans, this card kicks off at 11 a.m. Europeans, just your regular scheduled time that you don't see very often. But I enjoy the early card. I like the prelims kicking off at 11. It wraps up before it gets dark. There's going to be good college football games on later this evening. It works out. Shauna Bannon's taking on Sam Hughes in a women's strawweight fight. We'll start with Shauna Bannon. I'll hit Sam Hughes a little bit, and then I'll let you know who I think I'm going to go with, which I've gone back and forth on this fight, as I have with a few fights on this card. It's a great card, especially to bet on. The odds are great. They're very even, good underdogs. But Shauna Bannon, she's a great kickboxer. She's definitely a lot better on her feet than she is on the ground. That's no secret. I know, if you haven't watched her last fight on paper, you're like, oh, well, look, she just got a submission win over Pooja Tomar. Pooja's fight IQ allowed for her to get submitted. It was very low IQ. She had plenty of time to get her arm out, just sat there. Let Shauna Bannon try to break it. So, I'm not going to take away from her that much. She is coming off of a submission win. Sam Hughes has not had a finish in her last 5 fights. I'm not even sure if Sam Hughes has had a finish in the UFC. Maybe one? Come on. Okay, yeah, KO against Elise Reed. That was it. Look at me. Look at me. Sometimes I know my shit. Sam Hughes has only had 1 finish in the UFC. Shauna Bannon, not that many more. I think also only 1 finish, but she's had 3 fights. She has 3 total finishes. But yeah, Shauna Bannon, she's going to want to keep this fight on the feet. Her kickboxing's better. She's going to be kicking to the body. We'll probably see some leg kicks here. I think her boxing's more fundamental. But Sam Hughes is definitely more experienced. What I hesitate with, I'm hesitating to pick Sam Hughes. I've gone back and forth a few times. I think I'm going to go with Shauna Bannon to win this fight via decision. It would be a miracle if either of these girls won via finish. I do think this fight is going to go the distance. If it doesn't, I don't care who wins. I'd be entertained. Sam Hughes has barely scraped by her last fights. Like I said, all of her last 5 fights have went to decision. She's 3-2. Her last 2 have went to split decision. So she keeps the fight close. Now, here's how I see this fight playing out. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit slow paced. Shauna Bannon's going to land. She's a volume puncher. She's not a power puncher. So she's going to be looking to land more of the shots to win on this judge's scorecard. It's just kind of how she fights. Sam Hughes will mix in takedowns. She'll make it a little bit gritty, a little bit less technical of a fight. Now, the story of this fight will be if Shauna Bannon can stuff half the takedown attempts from Sam Hughes. If she can get up, if she could be aggressive on her back, chasing submissions and sweeps. But I'm going to pick against Sam Hughes' relentless takedown attempts. I'm going to pick against her ability to hold Shauna Bannon down for half the fight. I think I'm going to put some confidence in Shauna Bannon, some trust in Shauna Bannon, and I think she'll edge out a decision here. I think she'll outstrike Sam Hughes 2-1. She will get taken down once or twice, but I don't think she'll be on the ground being controlled for more than 2 minutes. That's pretty much everything I want to say about this fight. I'm going to lean Shauna Bannon, 60% confidence that via decision. It could go either way. Like I said, Sam Hughes has done enough to edge out these close split decision fights against better quality fighters as Shauna Bannon, but I don't think Shauna Bannon will be a champ. I don't think she'll be top 5, but I do think she could edge her way into the rankings. And, if she wins this fight, that'll prove to be correct. So we'll move on. She won't be ranked, but she will hopefully get like a 14th or 15th opponent after that. We'll move on to the next fight. This is a great fight. Very hard fight to predict. Andreas Gustafsson is taking on Rinat Fakhretdinov. I did all right trying to pronounce that name. Man. We'll start with Andreas Gustafsson. He's kind of a wild card. If Andreas Gustafsson was a card in a deck of cards, he would probably be the Joker. He forces his fight style on his opponents. This is what we've seen, I believe, since he did it in his Dana White Contender Series fight. I want to say, did he have 2 fights in the UFC? Just one. Against Chaos Williams. That was very impressive. To hold Chaos Williams down, to force your Greco-Roman style wrestling on Chaos Williams for 15 minutes, it was very impressive. I picked Chaos to win that fight. And I want to pick Rinat Fakhretdinov. I'm just going to say Rinat to win this fight. But I don't know. Andreas Gustafsson is just so aggressive. He always moves forward. You won't see him backing up. He's just going to force his body locks on you, his clinch against the cage, and that's where he gets to work. He will strike a little bit in the open, but mostly he wants to set up a takedown attempt, or what he honestly prefers is what we've seen more of out of him his last 2 fights, is to get you up against the cage, clinch you a bit, and then try to wrestle you down, drag you on the ground, landing strikes in the clinch, knees, elbows, dirty boxing. I think Andreas Gustafsson is going to control most of this fight. Now, Rinat has not lost a fight in the UFC. I believe he's fought 6 or 8 times in the UFC. All right, there's 5 there. He's fought 6 fights in the UFC. Hasn't lost a single one of them. Honestly, he's only lost his second fight, his second professional fight, which was more than a decade ago in 2013. This is a very tough fight to pick. Renat's never been finished before, but I'm gonna go with Andreas Gustafsson. I think he will, force Rinat to play his game. I think every fight ends up in a clinch against the cage at some point that makes it out of the first minute. I mean, it's a very common position. I think there's many different avenues to find that position. That's what Andreas wants, and I think he'll get against the clinch multiple times with Rinat, taking him down a couple of times. And Renat's got excellent takedown defense. He's got a good awareness, but Andreas, like I said, if he was a card in a deck of cards, he would be a joker. He's just unpredictable. I say unpredictable. That's not even the word. It's like what he's going to do. But he'll go up against these different fighting styles where you think there's no way they're going to allow this to happen, but he forces it on him anyways. Unpredictable wasn't the right word. It's just unorthodox. It's just out of nowhere. He imposes his plan. I don't really know how to describe it, but for that reason, I'm going to pick Andreas Gustafsson. I could see we're not edging out a decision here. It would be awesome to see a finish from either of these guys this fight because they're so tough, they're so durable. But I'm gonna go with Andreas Gustafsson here. I would like to see him win. I would enjoy his win more. I'm gonna pick him. So we'll move on to the next fight. Brad Tavares is fighting Robert Bryczek from Poland. He's making his UFC debut. I'm going to pick Brad Tavares. Robert did fight in the UFC once before. Aior Porter. Okay, it's been a year and a half since he's fought in the UFC. You know my rule. A year and a half layoff. He's coming off of a loss to Aior Porter, who I don't think was ever really good. You could see here, Aior was knocked out in the first round this year. He's won in his last 5. Pretty much every fight that he's lost, he's been finished in his last 5. But yeah, I'm going to go with Brad Tavares. I think he'll edge out a decision. You're not going to take Brad Tavares down. I am aware of how great these Polish guys' grappling is. In the jiu-jitsu community, if you watch CJI 2 over the past weekend, they were talking about these Polish guys a lot. But Poland is is like a sleeper cell in Europe for some of the best grapplers. But I don't think he's going to take Brad Tavares down. I think Brad Tavares will find more success on the feet. He'll definitely win a decision if it does go the distance, but I could possibly see a Brad Tavares knockout. Okay, I'll say that. I'm going to leave it there, and we're going to move on. We're going to move on with Sam Patterson taking on Trey Waters. This is an easy pick for me. I think Sam Patterson's going to win this fight dominantly. I just I don't like Trey Waters that much. Sam Patterson has had some very interesting fights as of recently. The Danny Borralho fight was very fun. Which other Crosby? Kiefer Crosby was fun. You know, Sam Patterson's been on a heater. He's looking to find his fourth straight finish in a row. You can see here in his last 5 fights, not a single one of them has went the distance. Trey Waters, what fight am I thinking of? Billy Goff? Gabriel Bonfim, that's what I'm thinking of. His Dana White Contender Series fight. He got submitted by Gabriel Bonfim in the first round. Then, you know, he wins a fight in the LFA, and then the UFC signs him. He's had 2 fights. He fights 1 time a year, and he wins a decision. I don't think he's going to win a decision against Sam Patterson. I think Sam Patterson's going to finish Trey Waters via knockout in the 2nd round. That's my prediction. Sam Patterson, he's a fun striker to watch. He's aggressive. He's good in the grappling. Trey Waters is decent everywhere, but I don't think he can keep up with Sam Patterson. Sam Patterson's been more active. He's got a lot of momentum. Finished all 4 of his last 5 wins. I'm going with Sam Patterson via knockout. I think he'll keep that momentum. I think he's going to be a serious guy to look at in the welterweight division. And hopefully, maybe he can fight into the rankings by the end of the year. I'm going to go with Sam Patterson via round 2 knockout. We'll move on to the next fight, which is the second fighter making their UFC debut. Pretty big in the UK scene. Harry Hardwick is taking on Cal Fernandes. Harry Hardwick is fun to watch. I've went back and I've watched all of his fights from 2017 all the way to 2024, and Harry Hardwick has gotten very good. He was very sloppy in his grappling. He didn't look very effective with his striking early on, and you can see his progression as you watch his fights over the years. Harry Hardwick is gotten pretty good. There's still some holes in his grappling game. He's a little bit premature when he goes for some of his submissions that wouldn't work against high caliber guys. His striking has gotten better, but he does throw wide strikes. You know, he'll throw wide hooks like this, and just leaving, you know, the middle wide open. He's very good. I would like to see him in the UFC, win or lose. I mean, if he gets knocked out in the first 10 seconds, I'll eat that. But win or lose, you know, I'd like to see Harry Hardwick fight again in the UFC. Now, that being said, I'm going with Cal Fernandes to win this fight. I think he's a more powerful striker. I think he's a little bit more of a technical boxer on his feet. I think he throws his shots with more IQ. You know, he moves around, he sets him up better. Harry Hardwick kind of just goes in, and he's gotten better, but Harry Hardwick kind of just goes in, you know, swinging. Not very thought out combinations, very, you know, leaves a lot of openings to get caught. And I do think Fernandes has way better grappling. Now, Harry Hardwick, you know, he's gotten a lot of submissions. A lot of his knockout finishes are from dominant grappling positions, but I don't know. I don't trust his grappling. You've seen it get better over the years, but I just think, you know, Fernandes is just a little bit more ahead of Hardwick. So I don't see Hardwick getting Fernandes down. Maybe not on his first or second try. If he wants to be relentless with the takedown attempts, maybe he'll get it eventually, but Cal Fernandes is going to make him pay with the strikes on his feet, especially during those possible takedown attempts. I think we'd see Fernandes shoot first before we see Hardwick, unless, you know, Hardwick gets cracked early on. But I'm going to go with Cal Fernandes to win this fight. He could finish Harry Hardwick, but I could see him win a decision. So I'll go with a late 3rd round finish, or a late finish in the fight, or Cal Fernandes to win via decision. I'm kind of split on that, but I'm going to lean with Cal Fernandes, 29-28. I'll give Harry Hardwick maybe round 2. We'll move on. Marcin Tybura taking on Ante Delija, another fighter making their UFC debut. The odds are dead even on this fight. Physical attributes, pretty much identical. Now, Ante Delija is going to be a little bit more built out, less of a fatty. Marcin Tybura has got that beer belly. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Ante Delija, PFL guy. Did a lot of good work in the PFL. Lost 2 fights in the PFL over a span of, what is this, 2.5, 3 years. He was very active. He looked very good in the PFL. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I've watched any of his. I don't watch a lot of PFL, unless I'm doing tape. And I did not do. This is the only fighter making their debut I did not do tape again. So I'm probably gonna pay. I'm probably gonna get this fight wrong. Marcin Tybura, I'll talk with, I'll speak on what I do know. Marcin Tybura finds ways to win fights. I believe he's coming off of like a controversial, is the Parkin a controversial decision? I remember what's his name? Mick Parkin fight in March. There was a lot of controversy with Marcin Tybura winning this unanimous. I think most people had this fight as a split decision and it going towards Mick Parkin. So that was a little bit of a controversial fight, if I remember right. But my point in bringing it up is Marcin Tybura finds ways to win fights. I think he got like some control time in the 3rd round that he didn't do much with, but they may have given him the round with that control time. I can't remember it clearly. I didn't rewatch that fight before I made this video. But shoot, man, what am I gonna do here? I might go against my word here and pick the more active fighter. I might go and pick against my word here and pick a fighter making their UFC debut from the PFL. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put my faith in somebody I'm not familiar with at all. Just because I'm not a big fan of Marcin Tybura. What is he? 39. He's kind of, he's been finished in his previous 5 fights. Shit. He's 39 years old. Fuck it. Give me Ante Delija to win this fight via finish. Fuck it. Heavyweight fight from Croatia. Croatia's a beautiful country. Fuck it. We ball. We take risks. The fight guy takes risk. I'm going with Ante Delija to get a finish. Fuck it. Next fight, Oumar Sy taking on Brendson Ribeiro. We'll start with Oumar Sy. Oumar Sy, he's representing France. It's funny because there's a lot of fighters representing France this card, but there's actually only one fighter from France on the card, and we'll get there in a second. Oumar Sy, we'll start with him. He just got handed his first loss in the UFC. I believe it was a decision loss to Alonzo Menefield, and it was a good fight. I thought Alonzo looked pretty good in that fight too, since his fight against Julius Walker making his debut in Seattle. But Oumar Sy, he just got handed his first loss. He's a finisher. He really goes out there and gets it. He's really athletic, relentless pursuing his takedowns. But yeah, in his last 5, he's finished 3, lost 1, and won 1 via unanimous decision. Trains out of American Top Team. I'm going to go with Oumar Sy to win this fight. We'll dig into Brendson Ribeiro a little bit and why I'm not picking him, but he's just not consistent. You can see in his last 5, he's lost 3 of them. 2 of them were first-round knockouts, and 1 via majority decision. Barely won, scraped by a split decision against Cal Machado, who I don't believe is that good at all. And then a submission win over Dayar Nurzage, who just lost another fight like 2 weeks ago on the Walker Zhang card in Shanghai. He got submitted in the first round. We called that, actually. I believe perfectly. I said he would get finished. I think I said he would get submitted on that video. Nonetheless, I'm going to go with Oumar Sy. He's been very consistent. He's a young, hungry contender. Brendson Ribeiro makes a lot of mistakes. Didn't he get finished by... Okay, no, I'm thinking of another Brazilian. Okay, I thought he got finished by Anthony. No, Anthony, he didn't fight Anthony Smith. That's the other Brazilian. Yeah, I'm going to go with Oumar Sy to win this fight. I think he'll finish Brendson Ribeiro in the first round. I think he'll probably knock Brendson Ribeiro out in the first round. Also, Brenson's coming off of a knockout loss like just a couple of months ago. Oumar Sy did fight Menefield a week after that card. Which card was that? 316. Yeah, I'm going to go with Oumar Sy to win this fight via finish early on, first or second round. We'll move on to the last fight on the prelims. Another fighter making their UFC debut in Robert Ruchała. He's taking on William Gomis, who's also representing France, but not from France. The physical attributes are pretty much identical. William Gomis being 2 inches taller at 6 foot even. Let's take a look at William Gomis in his last fight. I need to jog my memory here. Oh, a split decision loss to Haider Emil. That was a great fight. That was a really great fight. William Gomis and Haider Emil showed us a lot there. A lot of resiliency. toughness out of both guys. I think I even remember in my breakdown video, you guys can go click it. Let me know if I'm right. But I think I remember saying in my breakdown video that like this, even there wasn't really a loser of this fight, even though on paper William Gomis did get the L via split decision. It showed a lot of grit out of both guys. You know what I'm talking about. Some fights that are just really close, gritty fights where a lot of fighters would have given up, tapped out in some spots, just not gotten up after a hard knockdown in some spots. Both guys fired, delivered heavy shots, had their moments in this fight, and I was really impressed. I'm not going to take away anything from William Gomis in that fight. Now, Robert Ruchała, I did do a little bit of tape on, but I need to jog my memory here. Robert Ruchała. I don't know what I could say about Robert Ruchała, actually. None of these names are registering in my head in this sketchy Eastern European regional scene. I'm going to go with William Gomis here with what I do know. He's really tough. He could take shots and he could deliver shots very well. And typically, you know, guys making their UFC debut don't do that well. And I know I just pick a heavyweight making his debut, but fuck it, we ball. Marcin's getting old. It's the heavyweight division. Ante Delija is way more active. I'm confident in that. Now, Robert Ruchała, I can't say that he's fought a hair of the competition William Gomis has in his last 5. I mean, let's look at this again. Hyder Emil, Brito, Francis Marshall, who's fucking insane. I mean, William Gomis has been through the ringer in the UFC with his first contract. So I'm going to go with William Gomis to win this fight. We'll keep it simple. We'll move on to the main card. Is this how many fighters are making their UFC? Is it 5? I know I said 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it is 4. It is 4. Okay, first fight on the main card. Patricio Pitbull's taking on Lucien Chieda, and this fight's going to be very competitive. As you can see, Patricio Pitbull is actually an underdog here. And I'm just going to save you a little bit of time. I'm picking Patricio Pitbull. All right, and if I was betting on this card, if I was betting cash money on this card, I would bet money on Patricio Pitbull at plus 185. Patricio Pitbull showed us a lot in his fight against Dan Ige. He showed us a lot in his fight against fucking why am I not thinking of his name? Yair Rodriguez. Jesus Christ, guy. He showed us a lot in both of those last 2 fights against highly appraised, ranked UFC contenders in the featherweight division. Dan Ige was well on his way to earning a title shot. Patricio Pitbull shut him down. Yair Rodriguez apparently is maybe not next in line, but after the guy next in line for the title shot. Patricio Pitbull, he's very versatile. He's very good in the ground. On the ground game, he got great takedown entries, great control. Once he gets you down, you're probably not going to get back up. And his striking on the feet is pretty good. Yair Rodriguez throws kicks from all directions 3 times. Patricio Pitbull, it's a little bit hard to defend all those kicks against a guy like Yair on your, UFC debut, like the 3rd fight on the main card, maybe the co-main, I'm not remembering correctly. Whatever, you get my point. Lucien Chieda's making his UFC debut. He's really fucking good. He's got a lot of power in his hands, but he gives up takedowns sometimes. He just gives up takedowns, and you can't do that against Patricio Pitbull. I think if Patricio gets him down more than twice, he'll win this fight via decision. So I'm going to pick Patricio Pitbull to win this fight via decision. I think it'll be a good fight, a hard-fought fight from both guys. This might be one of those fights where no matter the outcome, if it's a split decision, you can't take anything away from both of them. I can't wait to watch this fight. I'm going to go with Patricio Pitbull to win this fight. I am. I'm going to go with Patricio Pitbull at plus 185. I find that a little bit disrespectful. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if the odd makers are wrong. We'll move on to the next fight. It's on the main card. Axel Sola is taking on Rice McGee. Axel Sola making his UFC debut and is the only... Wait. There's 2 fighters from France. Benoit Saint-Denis is one of the only 2 French fighters actually from France that are representing France. Axel Sola, he's pretty good. For the regional scene, I don't think he's going to be good enough to take Rice McGee. Rice McGee has had some success as of lately. We called this knockout, actually, I believe, against Daniel Frunze. We called that knockout. Rice McGee, he struggled his first couple fights in the UFC, but he had one really good guy I don't think Angelusa is that good. We picked him to lose in his last fight, and we were right. But Chidi Njoukani is very good, a very good welterweight, which he brought to a split decision. Also, like I just said, he's coming off of a knockout win in the first round in April this year. I think Rice McKee, I don't even think, I know Rice McKee has fought better caliber opponents. Obviously, he's UFC, he's been in the UFC. This will be his fourth fight. Axel Sola, I think there's a gap there. I think Rice McKee is going to be better on the feet. I don't see him having a lot of success trying to take McKee down. It's worth noting that Axel's actually a lightweight. I believe he's taking this fight on a shorter notice and going up a weight class. He has fought welterweights before, but not UFC caliber welterweights, not Rice McKee, who's also an underdog. I'm going to pick two back-to-back underdogs. I'm picking Patricio Pitbull, and then I'm picking Rice McKee. And if I was betting on this fight, I would probably bet Rice McKee via knockout. I think that's like a plus 300 or 400. So, nonetheless, I'm going to go with Rice McKee. I think he's going to shut down the French crowd on this main card. We'll move on to the third fight on this main card. An amazing fight here. Balaji Oki's taking on Mason Jones in a lightweight fight. Mason Jones coming off of a decision win against Jeremy Stephens on the Iowa card, which I believe he could have finished Jeremy Stephens, but he was just kind of having fun out there toying with him. Balaj Oki, he's a good fighter. This will be his fourth fight in the UFC, if you want to count his Dana White Contender Series, which I don't count those. It will be his fifth. He's coming off of a decision win at the end of May on the Blanchfield card against Michael Aswell Jr. His only loss in the UFC was a submission loss by Chris Duncan. Balaj Oki, he's fast. He's got good striking. He's got good grappling, I guess you could say. But Mason Jones, I think, is better. I think Mason Jones is better on the feet. If this fight stays on the feet for 15 minutes, I see Mason Jones winning 30-27. If Oki wants to mix in the takedowns, I think Mason Jones has absolutely amazing takedown defense. I mean, you've seen it in a lot of his fights. You've seen the Mike Davis fight always comes to mind when I think Mason Jones. That was one of those fights that I've mentioned a couple times on this card. Just because the fighter lost that fight, I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's shown me a lot. Both guys shown me a lot. I really like Mason Jones. I believe he was out of the UFC. Yeah, he got cut from the UFC. Yeah, for some fucking reason. And then he goes and he cooks in Cage Warriors and he comes back and he looks better than ever. I'm going to go with Mason Jones to win this fight. I think he'll give Oki a lot of problems on the feet, and it looks like Vegas agrees with me slightly. Mason Jones being a slight favorite as of right now, minus 135. I'm going to go with Mason Jones via unanimous decision. I think he shuts down Oki anywhere the fight goes. We'll move on. Next fight on the main card, Modestas Bukauskas is taking on Paul Craig in a light heavyweight matchup here. I'm going to go with Modestas Bukauskas to knock Paul Craig out. I think he'll probably get a second round finish. Paul Craig's really tough. He'll probably get cut pretty badly in the first round, get outstruck 3-1, and then probably get doctor stoppage or finished in the second round. Now, if Paul Craig takes Modestas Bukauskas down, which he won't do, I think Paul Craig could find a submission. All right, against anybody. Paul Craig's one of those guys. If you give him an opportunity on the ground, he's got just as good of a chance of submitting you as anybody else on the roster. I believe Paul Craig also with the most triangle submission wins in the UFC. So, with that being said, I would love for Paul Craig to win this fight. I'm going with Modestas Bukauskas to win this fight. I think he'll knock Paul Craig out before the 7:30 minute mark in this fight. We'll move on to the co-main event. Benoit Saint Denis taking on Mauricio Ruffy, however you say it. The first of two fighting nerds fighting on this card. This will be an amazing fight if you're Brazilian or you're a fan of the fighting nerds, which I am. I am a big fan of the fighting nerds. This is the biggest lock of the card. I am very confident Mauricio Ruffy is going to knock Benoit Saint Denis out. Benoit is not good on the feet whatsoever. The only thing he has going for him is his takedown attempts, which are very predictable. You say what you want. Yeah, he's taken down Dustin Poirier. It didn't look like Dustin was really worried about getting taken down in that fight, though. If you get what I'm saying. His facial expression did not change at all. He would get right back up with ease and land devastating blows on Benoit, and I think that's exactly what Mauricio Ruffy is going to do. especially if he gets taken down. If he doesn't get taken down, he's going to kick Benoit Saint Denis's head through the goalpost like a soccer ball. I'm going with Mauricio Ruffy here. Very confident. He looks better and better. I do think he's one of the best fighting nerds. I'd probably put him ahead of Gene Silva. With my expectations, I expect more out of Mauricio Ruffy than I do Gene Silva. And that's saying a lot here. Benoit Saint Denis, he's just kind of on a downward spiral. Give him fights against other grapplers. Let's solidify exactly how good that grappling is. Mauricio Ruffy is going to knock him out. He's definitely way better on the feet. You can't compare them. When it comes to the ground, I think he's got enough in his bank to reverse Benoit Saint Denis's takedown attempts, counter them. Enough. I think he's got enough to keep it on the feet, is what I'm trying to say. And I think he's got more than that. But I'm gonna leave it there. Mauricio Ruffy. I don't see this fight getting to the end of the third round. I think he's gonna finish Benoit relatively early in this fight. We'll move on to the main event of the evening. This one. Nasruddin Imavov is taking on Kauê Borralho. In a very equally split on the odds, very equal. Nasruddin Imavov's a plus 110. Yesterday they were both like minus 110. It's very split here. I think Nasruddin Imavov here should be the slight favorite, but for some reason Kauê Borralho is. I've gone back and forth relentlessly on this fight. Nasruddin Imavov, will start with him. I do think he's got better striking. I think Nasruddin's technically more sound on the feet. But it's so close, though. It's so close. When I say that, it makes it sound like he's chapters ahead in the book, but they're really just a couple pages apart. Kauê Borralho, he's got very good striking. He's got very good grappling, very well-rounded, very good fight IQ, hence fighting at the Fight Nerds. Carlos Prates, questionable IQ sometimes, but Carlos Prates isn't fighting tonight. Kauê Borralho is, and I think he's going to beat Nasruddin Imavov via decision here. I'm 60% certain we see a decision here out of either guy, and then I'm 40% confident we could see a knockout here from Kauê Borralho. I think Kauê can finish Nasruddin Imavov. Honestly, both, it's a coin toss for me. Really, I could say Borralho and he can get knocked out, and I cannot say that I'd be that surprised. I could say Imavov and he can get knocked out, and I would not be that surprised. But I lean Kauê Borralho here. I do. I think, I don't know, it'll be a lot of pressure on Nasruddin Imavov. He was kind of already in line for the title shot, and now it's like he's really putting it all out there. He loses his fight, it's back in line he goes, and he's fighting in front of the French crowd. He is from Dagestan. He should be a favorite. I'm going to pick Kauê Borralho here. I just want him to win more. It can go either way. Like I said, it's a coin toss from who wins this fight and how, but I'm going to go with Kauê Borralho here. I know a lot of people are picking against him. A lot of people are picking Imavov. I feel like I am alone here picking Borralho, but I think the fighting nerds are going to ball out. I think Huffy's going to win. I think Borralho's going to win. I think most of these people that I predicted to win their fights are going to win their fights. And we'll find out in just a couple days. But that's my full card predictions for UFC Paris. I'll throw out a bet real quick. I'll throw out one bet for you real quick. Obviously, you should bet on the underdogs if you're betting on this fight. Especially the underdogs that I picked, I'm pretty confident in. But if you were to place any bet on this entire card, I would do a Mason Jones, Mauricio Ruffy parlay. Those two should pay plus 250. You would more than double your money, and those are my most confident picks on the card. Mason Jones, Mauricio Ruffy. Parlay those. Check back with me on Saturday. We'll see how we did. This is the Fight Guy. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave me a thumbs up if you're still watching this. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We got some big things coming in the next month, and I'm not going to spoil anything. You'll see when you see them. Peace.